Stand by to launch FanStream Sports.
3, 2, 1.
Let's start.
Hello, sports fans. Welcome to FanStream Sports. Nothing but pure sports. This is the JP Show.
JP, it's so good to hear you back on the air.
Stand by. Now, here's JP.
All right, welcome in to a Monday edition of the JP Peterson Show, a big Monday edition of the JP Peterson Show, might I add, after a big-time sports weekend here in Tampa Bay and, of course, across the country as well. And we have so much to get into. First and foremost, I am your host today, Nick Geddes from On3 Sports. JP is still in Texas this week. He was at a wedding for a family member of his, but he is going to join us in about 10 minutes because, listen, we all paid attention to what happened this past weekend at Steinbrenner Field over in Tampa. Can't believe I'm saying that. Rays baseball outside in Tampa. Yes, it happened. And all the parties were there. Stu Sternberg was there. Matt Silverman was there. Everybody associated with Rays baseball was there. And as you know, there was so much that happened both on the field, off the field, in the stands. And of course, JP has to react to that. We have to get his reaction to that, especially the Stu stuff, because he spoke for the first time publicly, really with the media, in 6-ish months or longer. I feel like he's been so in the background of this whole stadium thing, and he actually spoke, and we'll discuss if there was anything to what he said, or was he just saying words and nothing meant much from it. So we'll get JP's take on that. And of course, on the field with the Rays, and they take 2 out of 3 from the Colorado Rockies this weekend and get off to a 2-1 start to the 2025 season. But so much other happenings with opening weekend across Major League Baseball. I thought it was a great showcase for the game this weekend. It seemed like a lot of people were talking about it. A lot of people were pretty jacked up about it, including I, who watched a lot of baseball this weekend. The Final Four is set. The Lightning are streaking at the right time. There's so much to get into, so we're going to try to get as much in today as we can. And of course, you guys are always encouraged to chime in with the comments as well and join in on the conversation. And we'll try to read some of those on the show as well. But let's start with what happened this past weekend at Steinbrenner Field. So first and foremost, just how great was that to see, like I said, outdoor baseball in Tampa. I mean, we haven't seen it ever. And we got to see last week sort of the happenings of how they turned that place from a Yankees facility basically to a Rays facility in just a span of, 4 or 5 days? I mean, they did an outstanding job. I mean, what'd they say, like 300 pieces of signage or something like that they had to put in? It looked fantastic. It looked absolutely fantastic. And even though we know the attendance is what it was going to be there, right? I think it was like 10,000 and change or whatever. The intimate setting, I thought the fans were loud. Obviously, the players were talking about, like, because it's so intimate, it feels like the noise is right on top of you. And we got 3 beautiful days. We didn't have rain affecting anything, which was great. And so I was just watching it. I couldn't go to any of the games this weekend, unfortunately. I had so much going on. But I'm just watching it. I'm like, the circumstances are what they are, right, of how they ended up playing in Steinbrenner Field. But that's a moment I'm not going to take for granted, because we've been fighting to see baseball outdoors, what it would look like here in Tampa Bay. And we finally got to see it, and I thought it was great. And opening day was one of those days where Ryan Pepio goes on the mound, and Pepio had some really good stuff. He had some really good stuff, and I thought he went out there and did a tremendous job. A guy who had to get the opening day nod because Shane McClanahan obviously goes on the injured list. And Pepio, I mean, right away, Chris Bryant comes to the plate, and he throws this absolutely nasty 3-pitch sequence and strikes him out. And I'm like, okay, Ryan Pepio's locked in. And I thought he pitched really well. It was unfortunate the Rays offense decided not to show up for a little bit there. I'm going to use the word boredom. I waited all this time to see Rays baseball and the season to come back, and I was a little bored there for a little bit because the Rays offense was sort of not doing much. And Kyle Freeland, and that's what the frustrating part was, is Kyle Freeland, last year the ERA was over 5. The year before that it was over 5. Probably the worst opening day starter you could possibly have around Major League Baseball. Just being completely honest with you about Kyle Freeland. But on that day, He had his best stuff, and the Rays really had no answer. And the game completely flipped when Bud Black took him out, and the Rays were able to get the runs. And then, of course, how about that in the ninth inning? Cameron Meisner comes up to plate, only on the roster because Richie Palacios had an injury late in spring training. Meisner has to come on the roster, a guy who was 29 years old, or not 29, that's Magnum I'm talking about, rather. But Meisner comes up to the plate, and he hits a walk-off home run. And it was a great moment on the first game of the Rays playing in Steinbrenner Field, a great feel-good moment at that. And like you said, for a guy who wasn't even supposed to be on this roster to begin with. And so that was just a great moment. The crowd went crazy. And that's how you started off. That's how you start off with a bang. And then, of course, we get to Saturday. And I know people will look at the score and they'll go, oh, the Rays offense let them down. Well, not really. Not really. The Rays offense on Saturday was far more encouraging than what we even saw on Friday. To the fact that you look at the starting pitcher for the Rockies, Antonio Senzatela, first pitcher to allow 9+ hits, record 0 strikeouts, and somehow allow zero runs since Dave Javecki on June 25th, 1986. It's well over 100 years ago. Well over 100 years ago. So the Rays sort of got unlucky. They got thrown out at home twice. The Rockies made some really good defensive plays, and that obviously contributed to the Rays only scoring 1 run. But I actually thought that game was more encouraging than what we saw on Friday from them when they really had no answer for Kyle Freeland and didn't start getting their bats going until they got into the bullpen for the Rockies. And then, of course, Zach Littell, he deserved better. There's no doubt about that for his outing. Zach Littell is one of those guys where he's not going to be on the you're never going to see a highlight tape of Zach Littell, right? I mean, he doesn't have the stuff that McClanahan has. He doesn't have the stuff that Todd Bradley has that we saw yesterday. He doesn't have the stuff that Shane Baz has and some other guys on this staff. But that guy's a bulldog, man. He goes out there and he's always pitching in the strike zone. He's able to generate weak contact. Yeah, he's going to allow some hits here and there, but he's able to get out of jams, and you saw that on Saturday. So Zach Littell, another guy who, when the Rays were fully healthy and they had 6 starting pitchers, we didn't know if they were going to run with a 6-man rotation. We didn't know if Zach Littell was potentially going to be the odd man out. And Kevin Cash showed a lot of faith in him by giving him the ball on the second game of the season. And Zach Littell rewards them with a really good start where he probably deserved to win. So I thought that was encouraging. I mean, Rays pitchers all weekend, Rays starting pitchers, when you look at what Pepio did, what Littell did, what Todd Bradley did, 18 innings pitched, 22 strikeouts, only 1 walk. So these guys were all over the strike zone all week, and they also allowed 0 home runs. Now, the Rockies lineup is not very good. There's about 3 guys in that lineup, and it really is Brenton Doyle, Ezekiel Tovar, and Ryan McMahon, who are the 3 guys that you really have to deal with in that lineup. So there's context there. But it was a great start for this pitching staff. And, of course, the bullpen, too. Kevin Kelly had some issues yesterday. He gave up the 2-run home run to Mickey Moniak late in that game, which made it a 6-4 ball game there in the, 7th or 8th inning. But outside of that, I thought Uceta looked good. Fairbanks had to scramble a little bit yesterday, but he was able to have 2 pretty good outings. Mason Montgomery, throwing 100 and 101 on his fastball. Nobody threw faster this week across all of Major League Baseball than Mason Montgomery did. So that dude coming from the left side, the Rays bullpen looks as advertised. The Rays starting pitching looks as advertised. And then even yesterday in that 6th inning, they were able to string across 4 runs, and they did it in the most Rays way possible. Junior Caminero comes in to pinch hit after he had the day off yesterday, and he hits one up the middle, and it hits the bag, and that is able to score some runs. The Rockies made some errors in the field, and the Rays were able to take advantage of it. So it felt like a very classic Rays sort of offensive game yesterday, just taking advantage of the Rockies' mistakes, whereas Saturday they were really good in the field. Yesterday it wasn't the same. And the Rays were able to lock that down, and they get out with a 3-game or a series win to open up the season, go 2-1. They probably could have swept it if they wanted to, if they had a little bit better luck at the plate on Saturday. But all in all, just a really, really good outing for your Rays in their first weekend at George Steinbrenner Field. The atmosphere seemed great. Like I said, the weather was fantastic. And I personally can't wait to get out there soon to see a game. But without further ado, I'm going to let JP come in here because he is standing by right now. And there he is. He's coming to us from Texas. JP, looked like you had a very nice night last night where you were, but I know you were also keeping tabs of what was going on in the Rays as well.
Oh, wait a minute now. Wait a minute. This ain't Texas, bro.
Oh, you're in Colorado now. You've already migrated a little bit west.
Yes, we've arrived in Colorado at the 4:00 run here in Breckenridge, my home away from home. The snow is fantastic. Looking forward to a nice week of snow skiing. We'll be jumping in and doing all shows. We'll have all live shows this week. But I had to jump on this morning just to talk about that opener and that weekend that was. I think it's everything we ever thought baseball could be in Tampa in the Yankees Major League Spring training complex. We're not going to call that a minor league stadium because it's not. It's
Right.
not. And it was packed, and it had an unbelievable vibe. Watched from afar, talking to a lot of people that were there. It just said it was electric. And you can't tell me that didn't help those guys win a couple of ball games. There's no question in my mind that vibe helped them win the opener. I mean, you get an incredible crowd, a beautiful sunshiny day. You got tons of folks chanting, "Sell the team, sell the team," and you got my man that went viral, the tall guy with the sign. Remember that you saw that Evan Drellich tweeted out, and he's pointing it up, and Stu's looking down at him. That's one of our guys. That's a JP Peterson show guy. He wants to remain a little anonymous. We're going to bring him on the show tomorrow. He's got a story to tell, but he had the sign. Stu saw it. The chants were there. It was awesome. And then, of course, the walk-on. As we said, look, we support the team. We love the players. We love Cash, Neander. We love the baseball side. We just want, obviously, Stu to sell the team. And you saw Manfred's comments on Friday on Sirius XM, and there was no ambiguity about that. It was basically him saying, listen, what's your plan? Because we've got people waiting in the wings that have the money to build a stadium, that have the money to pay for the team at a reasonable price. Well, actually, not even a reasonable price, $300 or $400 million more than it's worth. And everything is ready to go. We're just waiting on you to sell the damn team because you have no options. That's why he asked him, what's your plan? What's your plan, Stu? Because he knows he's got no options in Tampa. He's got no options in St. Pete. He's got no options to build anywhere. He can't move the team because the owners will not allow that. He's out of options. So I thought Manfred's comments were really good. I thought it was an incredible weekend you wrapped it up great from a baseball standpoint. A lot of good things, obviously this offense is going to be a work in progress. How about we get a bunt yesterday that actually does something? I mean, how about that? For how many years we've been saying we're not bunting, we're never going to bunt again. And yesterday that really turned the tide for the whole game. Make something happen, make the other team work. And with the speed that this team has, that's going to be something positive. So yeah, I thought it was a great weekend all around.
Yeah, and I knew it, by the way, from the on, and we'll get to the Stu stuff here in a second, but I thought it was crazy too. When the lineup came out yesterday, I'm sure you did, and I'm sure everybody looked at it and went, it's the third game of the season, and all of a sudden, Jake Mangum, great story, by the way, 29 years old, making his major league debut. Gardner Minshew, we find out, is a childhood friend of his. They grew up in the same town. Brian Bass interviews him on the broadcast. He was shown a lot. He had a lot of family in town. So he gets to start yesterday. He almost hit a home run on his first at-bat. Went all the way to the warning track there in left field. But he's in the lineup. Aranda's hitting cleanup. Taylor Walls is hitting fifth in the lineup. Misner's hitting sixth. Rortvet, LaDuca, Cavalier. I'm like looking at that lineup, and I'm like, initially I was going to be like, okay, well, this lineup's going to do nothing. But you know what? I know baseball too much, and baseball is so wacky and so weird that, of course, that lineup, which did not look great on paper, produces the best offense they had in the series.
Well, it was a lot of unearned runs in there, but whatever.
We'll
They
take it.
made contact, they got the ball in play, and good things happen. Yeah, and Fairbanks, coming up with Moniak with the winning run at the plate or the go-ahead run at the plate, that was exciting. And Fairbanks getting the strikeout. Look, man, it was great fun to watch from afar. I can't wait to get to that stadium. It looks awesome. 3 consecutive sellouts, absolutely fantastic. So much good stuff going on there. It was exactly what we thought it would be. And now hopefully the momentum continues and the crowds are big for the Pirates series as well. Looks like
I
there's
know
most of it's a sellout.
Yeah, and I think Paul Skeens is probably going to be pitching the last game of that series too.
Oh,
So I
awesome.
know we're here to see the Rays, but if you want to see Paul Skeens pitch
Yep.
and probably have good success against the Rays lineup, and that's nothing against the Rays lineup, it's just that's what Skeens does to almost every team. That should be a fun game to get out to.
Yeah, absolutely.
But it was just like little things. Like I was watching that game and I said it out loud, to myself. I was like, it's almost weird. Like you're hearing like fire trucks go by outside and police cars. At one point, it was going on for like a full minute. And I'm like, it's just something like that odd that we're not used to hearing at a home Rays game. So it definitely took a little bit to get used to. I'm not going to lie. Like at the beginning, I was like, oh, I kind of missed the Trop a little bit. But eventually I settled in. And like eventually I settled in, and even like the Rays white uniforms, like I never realized how great those white uniforms look outside in the sunshine. It just sort of like everything had a different vibe to it. So that was great. But of course, we have to talk about Stu, of course, while we have you. And Stu spoke to the media for about 6 minutes on the field before. And I was mentioning that's probably the first time Stu has really spoken to the media.
Blah, blah, blah.
And many, many months. And you just said it right there. It was a lot of blah, blah, blah. And I'll just read like one of his quotes right here when he was talking about the stadium. And he did not want to talk about the stadium, by the way. He tried to make that clear. But Evan Klosky, of course, is great at what he does and asked the question. And he said, obviously, it wasn't our first attempt. It wasn't our second or third. We've been trying. And then he goes into we have the third best record in baseball since 2008, 9 playoff appearances since I've been here. We try to carry ourselves in the best way as possible. We want to do what's best for the organization and for the team. So it seemed like a lot of nonsense coming out of his mouth.
The best part. You missed the part where he played the victim card.
Oh, of course.
We pick ourselves up and we dust ourselves off.
Yeah, that was the beginning of it. Yes.
We pick ourselves up. Oh, like we've been knocked down. Somebody tried to give us $2.4 billion to build our stadium, but we survived it. We picked ourselves up and we dusted ourselves off with all the cash that they were throwing at us. I almost suffocated from the mountain of cash that they poured on us, but I picked myself up and I dusted myself off.
Ridiculous. Ridiculous.
Playing the victim card, like somehow, oh, you poor guys got knocked down. But you know what? We're going to persevere. We're going to get up and try to screw the public again. Dadgummit. We're going to dust ourselves off with all this cash that they threw at us, and we're just going to get back at it and work hard. We've got 4 years to get this. And no, you don't. No, you don't. So the team.
Yeah, I thought he was dodging everything too after that because every time like I feel like during the first game of the season they always have Stu. He joins the broadcast and everything. And I was watching the game and it was Silverman who came up there. And in my head I was like, oh, Stu's dodging this. He doesn't even want to do this spot anymore. He doesn't want to see anybody. But then he came on yesterday, and of course when he came on yesterday and was doing color, things started going poorly for the Rays. So
shocking development.
Shocking development there. But I mean, I give him credit for showing his face to the fan base. I mean, John Fisher doesn't show his face to the A's at all. So at least he went out there.
True.
He did show his face. He was on the field before. He did all the festivities, and then he was right there in his box, right behind home plate. But yeah, the video there of the fan that you mentioned coming on tomorrow was just like sell the team right in front of him, and Stu just had that smirk on his face. Yeah, and I wish I knew what he was thinking.
By the way, said it all.
Yeah,
he don't care. He don't care. He'll hold this team hostage as long as he can. It's up to Major League Baseball now to force his hand. And you saw it yesterday. I tweeted out the latest numbers. The Rays are the third worst in terms of money they spend percentage-wise for the revenue they bring in. Only 33% do they spend. Third worst in the league. They were second worst last year. So this long narrative that, oh, they don't have the money to keep their good players. Yeah, they have the money. They just choose not to spend it. And that's always been the case. But it's absolutely ludicrous that people think, oh, well, they can't afford these players. Yeah, they can. Yeah, they can. If they spent 80 to 90% of their revenues on payroll like other teams do, or even 50%, they could keep a lot of these players, but they don't. Again, these are all old arguments we've been talking about forever. Just sell the freaking team, please.
I know, and there was somebody too. Like I even saw like quote tweeted one of your tweets about that graphic that went everywhere this week, and he had mentioned like third least with the 28th revenue in majors, bottom 5 attendance, but hey, Stu should have a $300 million payroll, so the fans still don't show up. And I was like, I don't know who was asking for $300 million in payroll for the Rays. I don't know if we've ever asked for $200 million.
Nope.
I think we asked, can you just get us a little bit over 100?
Yeah, get to the league average.
Can you get us a little bit closer to the league average? And when you spend 90 last year, not tell the Times a sob story about how much money you're losing this year.
How uncomfortable it is.
How uncomfortable you are. Yeah,
I'm only going to make 130 million this year.
I don't think our expectations were too big for what you're making and what you're gaining in revenue sharing either. I don't think our expectations are too big.
Oh, check this out. What's up, Fido? Good morning.
Join the snow.
What a beautiful dog. There you go. There you go. There you go. Oh, what's his name? Her name? Oh, how cute was that, huh? Last year we had a moose walking down here. Like a big old moose was coming down. There were skiers like coming down. And there was a big ass moose on the 4 o'clock run.
What's the weather like? How cold is it there right now?
I'm standing out here in about 18-degree weather for you people, and I'm freezing.
Jeez.
No, it's going to get up into the 30s today, but it's look at that sky. Look at that mountain. How gorgeous is that? That's beautiful. I think Stu should get a chalet out here. Sell the team and get a chalet.
Yeah. Rick says he thinks you're staying at Stu's condo up there.
No, this is our condo. This is our little 2-bedroom condo. I think he'd have a little bit nicer condo than we have. After all the money he's bilked out of these people. But anyway, I thought it was an awesome weekend of baseball, and it just furthered the feeling that everybody, what we know, we're going to support the team. And again, I think this is important. Buy the tickets, support the team. Hopefully it won't be much longer for him to benefit from it. But we've got to do that because, the commissioner and the other owners are watching. If we don't fill that stadium, that could lead to some issues. So let's make sure we fill the stadium, support the players, support Kevin Cash, Eric Neander, and just think of it that way. I mean, I even bought some tickets this past weekend, so to give to some folks. So get on out there, support them. The ticket prices are coming down, so it'll be much more affordable, it looks like. So let's make sure we fill the stadium. I think that's important.
And a lot of people, too, also took up on the offers, and it seemed like a lot of people had fun at Riveters this weekend, too.
Yeah, Riveters got a huge response from just a couple of days of us talking about them. I know you got your live reads coming up. Can't wait to hear those. No, we've got a bunch of people went down there, mentioned the JP Peterson show. They gave them a free drink. They'll give you a little surprise every time you go in there. They had the prime rib sandwich, which is absolutely fantastic. And we're gonna do some live remotes. We're just trying to nail down the dates once they get back from this. And we're going to give away some sweet tickets. The owner of Riveters is going to give away his tickets, which are right behind the dugout. So we'll have all those details for you. Joey's going to pump up and give out his seats, and we'll have a great time over at Riveters before a game and after a game, and it'll be fun. So we'll announce those dates coming up.
Yep, great spot to watch a game, and of course all the other sporting events, the Final Four, obviously being set and everything. So yes, definitely be on the lookout for that. But I don't want to take up too much of your time. I know you're probably freezing your butt off out there, and
the hands are getting a little cold.
Yes, and you're on your well-deserved vacation. So
we'll be popping on tomorrow with our friend. Can't use his name. It'll be a great story. And we'll hopefully have Scott Reynolds on as well. He's at the owners' meetings down at the Breakers, so I'm not sure if we'll be able to get him on, but we'll have some content from there for sure. And of course, all the stuff you got coming up today. So go get him, partner. We'll see you next week.
Yes, sir. We'll see you. Have a good time out there.
All right, guys. Look at that.
All right. Thank you to JP for joining us there. See, even when he goes on vacation, he always takes a little bit time out of his day, and had to get his thoughts there on Stu. And of course, the on-field product this week after it was, like I said, after I recapped it there, a pretty good weekend of Rays baseball. And I'm excited. We go right back into it today with a series against the Pirates, who, by the way, got walked off on every single game this week. They played the Marlins, and the Marlins got a walk-off on every single game. So the Rays are catching the Pirates early in the season where they're down bad a little bit. So that should be fun. And like I said, I believe Paul Skeens is going to pitch that Wednesday game. So if you want to see Paul Skeens pitch, you want to see the Rays play, that'll be a good game to get out to. But I want to keep it rolling here with some of the baseball action we saw this week, sort of beyond the Rays, because there was a pretty hot button topic that was going crazy on Saturday. And Christopher Cole actually already chimed in it right here when he was talking about thoughts on the torpedo bats. And this is what I was alluding to here. So these torpedo bats, I guess, is what they're calling them now. And so the Yankees, the where this started, I'm sure you guys all saw, the Yankees played the Brewers on Saturday. And first three pitches of the game, they're facing Nestor Cortez, who, of course, was the former Yankees pitcher. He's making his first start for the Brewers. And first pitch to Paul Goldschmidt, home run. First pitch to Cody Bellinger, home run. First pitch to Aaron Judge, home run. And then the guy who was batting fifth, which was Austin Wells, he hits a home run as well. And the Yankees go on to score 20 runs. It looked like the scoreline of an NFL game here in March. And they hit 9 home runs. The MLB record in a single game is 10. So the Yankees fall just short of that. Aaron Judge hits 3 home runs, of course. He had another one yesterday. So he's already off to a looks like he's going to have another MVP-like season over there in New York. And, of course, as Rays fans, we have to keep in mind of what we have to keep in touch with what the Yankees are doing, being a division rival. And so they're off to a hot start. But the whole discussion was these new torpedo bats that Michael Kay mentioned that the Yankees are using this year. They scored 36 runs in the 3 games, which is 22 more than their opponents, by the way. So they were that good in this series against, but of course the torpedo bats, where they sort of redistributed, the wood into the label. So the harder part of the bat is going to strike the ball, and it looks very funky, and it gives off the appearance of a torpedo. And so all of a sudden, everybody starts with the whole, well, how is this legal? How are the Yankees doing it? Trevor McGill, the reliever for the Brewers, said that he didn't like it. And of course, because it's the Yankees, they're going to get away with it. And let's just be completely upfront here. There is no rule against this. Major League Baseball knows that the Yankees are doing it. There's no rule against this. It doesn't sound like it's something that the Yankees just invented for this season. Some players were using it last year. The guy who actually invented this torpedo bat actually worked with the Yankees from 2018 to 2024. He's now with the Marlins. Giancarlo Stanton used one of these bats last year. Cody Bellinger said he had one last year with the Cubs. Twins catcher Ryan Jeffers also used one yesterday. And then Junior Caminero, our Rays future superstar, hopefully, he also looked to be using a variation of it yesterday. And his base hit up the middle that, like I mentioned, hit off the bag and scored a run. That was when he was using that variation of torpedo bat. And it sounds like he's going to mix that in from time to time. I think we're all sort of wondering, because Giancarlo Stanton apparently left a bat in the locker for Junior Caminero. Is that the bat that he left for him? I don't know. I'm sure somebody will figure that out soon. But so now the torpedo bat is sort of the new fad right now in the league. But Major League Baseball, I don't think is going to do anything about this, because, like I said, everybody's using it at this moment. I don't think it's just a Yankees thing. They might be the only team necessarily that, like, everyone's using it. Not Judge. Judge has said he's not using it, and his reasoning was, what I've done in my career kind of proves like I don't need to use it. And he's completely right about that. And the fact that he hit 4 home runs this week without it, that dude doesn't need it. He'll hit his home runs with whatever he's using. But it just seems like, because it's the Yankees, because they're the most hated team in baseball, outside the Dodgers probably right now, and we make them the villain, and rightfully so sometimes, right? I think that's where sort of this started. I feel like, if the Kansas City Royals were using their torpedo bats, would there be so much discussion about, oh, we need to ban this? Probably not. I think it's because the Yankees did it, and they had to give them credit. They found a way to find a new sort of way to, like I said, distribute the weight of the barrel on that baseball bat, and it showed out in a big way this week with them hitting 15 home runs and everybody having success. So more power to them. They found a way to have an advantage, and other teams are going to continue to use this. Other players, if they're comfortable with it, are going to continue to do it. So I see no problem with it. I actually think it was kind of cool. I think the appearance of the bat is kind of cool, and I appreciate some of the memes that were created from this with that torpedo bat. So I'm sure this discussion's not going to die down anytime soon. But like I said, I don't think this is anything to be worried about necessarily, because they're not breaking any rules. So that's the end of the day right there. But we'll hit our first break here of the day, and when we come back, I'm going to transition a little bit to what we saw this past weekend with the Lightning. Big weekend. They're playing really good hockey right now for the Tampa. Right now, as we approach the playoffs. So we'll get into that and some awesome performances from Nikita Kucherov from as well. But before we hit this break, I want to mention, we just talked about it, Riveters, the newest sponsor of the JP Peterson Show, right there on Dale Mabry, a great spot to watch the games. No BS, nor corporate chain feel, just amazing, authentic folks serving great comfort food in a casual atmosphere at unheard prices. It's located just south of Raymond James Stadium in Steinbrenner Field on Dale Mabry. So walking distance, you can Uber to the game, of course. Free parking, great place for pregame and postgame. And they serve fresh food, chicken tenders cut from unfrozen chicken breasts and freshly battered as they're ordered. All the sauces and original recipes made in-house. And you have to try the Warhawk chili and fully loaded potato soup made fresh in-house as well. Quality beef made for the Riveters burger. Their Rosie dogs are from 100% beef, vegetables fresh, everything's fresh. So a great place. And like we said, Riveters on Dale Mabry, just north of 275, just south of George Steiner Field. You can watch the Bucs, you can watch the Rays, the Final Four. The Gators going to be playing in that. So a great spot to watch the game. So be sure to get out there, tell them about the JP Peterson Show, and that would be awesome for us. So thank you to Riveters. All with the Lightning this weekend, and we'll have plenty of Final Four talk, the NFL annual meetings going on right now at the Breakers, and some other hot button topics. So stay with us here on a Monday.
Spring means a time of renewal and Rays baseball, and the folks at Italiano Insurance want to welcome the Rays to Tampa and remind you it's time to renew those insurance policies with the now famous Italiano Insurance Checkup. Let the experienced and friendly agents shop your policy for the best price and coverage. Famous for saving me over $1,000 on our auto insurance last year and over $500 on our homeowners. Now that's a grand slam. Might as well get a double play by adding flood insurance and business insurance to your portfolio. Costs less than you think, and trust me, you do not want to risk your home or personal wealth. That's a big whiff. So step up to the plate and call 813-877-7799 and chat with the all-star agents at Italiano Insurance. 813-877-7799 or go to ItalianoInsurance.com. Go Rays! JP here for Riveters, our new official sports bar and grill of the JP Peterson Show. And just like our show, no BS, no corporate chain feel, just amazing, authentic folks serving great comfort food in a casual atmosphere at unheard of prices. Riveters is located just south of Raymond James and Steinbrenner Field on Dale Mabry, walking distance to the park, so free parking, great place for pregame and postgame. Let's talk about fresh food. Nothing is frozen. Burgers, wings, prime rib, roasted fresh daily, never frozen. That makes a huge difference. The mahi, the salmon, also super fresh. All our sauces are original recipes made in-house. Our Warhawk chili and fully loaded potato soup is made fresh in-house. It's the best food anywhere, served by people who actually care. Riveters on Dale Mabry, just north of 275, just south of where the Bucs and Rays play. We'll see you there. Are you looking to renovate your home, rebuild after the hurricanes, or build your dream home from scratch? Well, let me tell you about my friend Jason Fawcett and On-Site Construction. They have over 1,450 satisfied clients, 25 years of experience, over 500 designs, and a talented team of over 40 construction professionals. They believe building something exceptional begins by truly focusing on all the details, even the smallest ones. We understand that construction can be a daunting process, and we're here to make it as smooth and stress-free as possible. Quality is non-negotiable at On-Site Construction. We use the finest materials, employ the most skilled tradespeople, and adhere to the highest industry standards to deliver a product we're proud of and that you're going to love. Our project management is meticulous with a focus on completing projects on time and on budget. Your happiness is our primary driver. So give us a call at 813-579-5789 or check out our incredible website at onsiteconstructionfl.com.
Let's go. Right now, back to the show on FanStream Sports.
All right, welcome back to a Monday edition of the JP Peterson Show. Nick Geddes from On3 Sports, riding solo today with JP. He was in Texas, and now he has already made it over to Colorado at his condo in Breckenridge. But thank him for joining us there for about 15 minutes there in that first segment, and he's going to be popping in throughout the week as well. So we just had a great discussion there about the Rays and sort of talking about MLB opening weekend, which I thought was a great showcase for the league, even though, of course, Friday, MLB TV, I mean, there's a worse day for MLB.TV to not be working and to be glitching all over the place. Of course, it had to come on Friday when it's opening weekend. Everybody was having a meltdown. So aside from that, thought we got some great baseball this weekend. And so happy the season's back. Something to have on every single night. Even if you're not intently watching, it's just great to have in the background, if anything. So, and like I said, the Rays back at it to start this week against the Pittsburgh Pirates. But almost getting lost in the shuffle a little bit because of Rays being back was the Tampa Bay Lightning. As we get closer and closer to the playoffs, we got about, 7 or 8 or 9 games, rather, left in the regular season. And the Lightning, after they had played some of their worst games of the season against Utah, they didn't play well against Vegas either. And they respond with a big 6-1 win over the Penguins on Tuesday night. Then they respond with a 8-0 shutout of the Utah Hockey Club, and Mikhail Sergachev's return to Amalie Arena on Thursday. And then Saturday, they play the New York Islanders, and the Lightning, once again, they jump out to a big 4-0 lead where they were putting on a pretty passing display, particularly on Braden Point's second goal of that game. If you get a chance to go see that one, it's as pretty of a passing play as you're going to see in this league. And that's, of course, what we've come to expect from the Lightning when they are at their best. And right now they have been at that. Now, on Saturday, after they had that 4-0 lead, things broke down a little bit in that third period. It became a 4-3 hockey game. And then from there, the Lightning had several chances of hitting the opening net and to ice that game, and particularly Nikita Kucherov. He came down on the right side there, and he had a wide open net to shoot at. And for whatever reason, he sort of just passed out of it. I think he might have been trying to get somebody else a goal there. But he passed up a big opportunity and sort of played with the puck a little bit, had a couple turnovers there late in the game. And I know it was driving Phil Esposito nuts on the radio broadcast, and I'm sure it was driving everybody nuts who was watching it. But aside from those brief moments, Nikita Kucherov has just been on a different level right now from anybody in the league recently. And in these 3 games, the game against Pittsburgh, the game against Utah, and against the Islanders, Nikita Kucherov has 3 goals, 8 assists, and 11 points. 11 points in 3 games for Nikita Kucherov. He's played 40 minutes in his last 7 hockey periods. The Lightning have scored 10 goals in that time frame. So like I said, the guy is on a different planet right now. And wouldn't you know it, Nikita Kucherov is now sitting at the top of the scoring leaderboard in the National Hockey League. He's got 109 points, tied with Nathan MacKinnon for first in the NHL. And it's sort of reminiscent to what we saw last year between these 2 phenomenal hockey players, where they were going back and forth for the Art Ross Trophy title. And context here is Nikita Kucherov has played 5 less games than Nathan MacKinnon. He's played 5 less games, and he's got the same amount of points, and he's tops in the entire NHL. And so I'm sort of sitting here like, why aren't we talking about Nikita Kucherov as a Hart Trophy leading candidate again? Like, why is that not happening? I mean, a lot of people, especially here in Tampa Bay, thought that Kucherov should have gotten it last year. And of course, they gave it to MacKinnon, and probably because MacKinnon hadn't won it yet and it was just his time. But I went and checked this morning on FanDuel Sportsbook about the Hart Trophy odds, and you have Leon Draisaitl's the leader right now with minus 110 odds, and he's followed by Connor Hellebuck at plus 105, and then Nathan McKinnon is distant with plus 900, and then Nikita Kucherov is listed at plus 4,900. 4,900 to win the Hart Trophy this year. For the guy who is leading the NHL in points and has played 5 less games than everybody else. And they were talking last year, the argument was about, oh, well, Kucherov, his 5-on-5 play versus McKinnon and everything. Like, they were using all those numbers against it. Well, how about this year? 5-on-5, Nikita Kucherov, 21 goals and 55 points. Nathan McKinnon, 13 goals and 48 points. Some people like to call Nikita Kucherov an empty net merchant. He's got 9 points on the empty net. Nathan McKinnon's got 13 points on the empty net. So I'm struggling to figure out why Nikita Kucherov is just not getting the love from the NHL media. And then again, should I really be surprised? Because this is the same media that completely had a meltdown because of his actions last year at the All-Star game. This is the same media who, after watching Nikita Kucherov put up 11 points in 3 games and play as well as he did against the Islanders, the only thing they wanted to talk about coming out of that game about Kucherov was what happened in the final moments of that game, where, like I already explained, how he wouldn't shoot at the empty net and he had a few careless giveaways, right? And I'm not defending any of that whatsoever. I just think it's funny that nobody wants to talk about the brilliance, and that when you actually talk about NHL history, and I don't mean to say that, I don't think I'm being biased in saying this whatsoever. The numbers are sort of bearing this out. You know, the only winger in NHL history to hit 100 assists in a single season, he did that last year. He's the first Russian hockey player to have 5 seasons of 100 plus points. Ovechkin didn't do that. Datsuk didn't do that. Kovalchuk didn't do that. Fedorov didn't. None of the great Russians that we've seen in this game have done that. Nikita Kucherov has done that, though, and all while playing the game in a very unique way, where he's not McDavid, he's not McKinnon, he's not a freight train that's going to cut through the middle of the ice and score this beautiful goal. Nikita Kucherov can do that from time to time, but it's not really his game. He's never going to be the guy like a Draisaitl or a Matthews that's going to put up 50 goals in a season, even though if he was a little bit more selfish, I probably think he could. But he plays this game in such a unique way, and I don't think he gets his due for it. And I don't know if that's just the Tampa Bay Lightning fan of me talking about it, but I just feel like the numbers there show that this guy is on a different planet right now with what we're seeing him do. And the fact that he is down right now, like I said, at plus 4,900 odds to win the Hart Trophy seems a bit silly. It seems a bit silly. But I don't know how much about that Nikita Kucherov cares about. At the end of the day, the guy's a competitor. He wants to play well, but he wants to win as well. And the Lightning are doing that. And you look at the standings, things are getting really, really tight right now in the Atlantic Division. Toronto is now up to 94 points. And then the Lightning and the Panthers are tied with 91 points, and they've both played the same amount of games at 73. But the Lightning own the tiebreaker over Florida right now. So if the season ended today, the Lightning would be the 2 seed and the Panthers would be the 3 seed. And that's obviously very important because the Lightning would get home ice advantage in that potential playoff matchup. But as I mentioned, both teams have a game in hand on Toronto. The Lightning are going to play Toronto one more time this season, and they're going to play the Panthers one more time this season. So it's not over. It's not over yet. Lightning see Toronto on Wednesday, April 9th at home. Very big. They have that at home. And then they see the Panthers at home on Tuesday, April 15th, which is the second to last game of the season. So the Lightning still have a shot, believe it or not, to get that first seed in the Atlantic. And that would be huge because, of course, you would avoid having to play Florida or having to play Toronto in the first round because of the way the playoff format is set up. But until they get there, though, they're going to go now on the road, and they're going to be playing up here in the Northeast. So on Tuesday, they're going to have to go on the road against the Islanders, and then they go to Canada. They play Ottawa, and then they have Buffalo, and then they have the Rangers. So this is going to be a pretty important stretch right here. The Lightning have not exactly played their best hockey on the road, but now they got to play 4 consecutive road games before they get 4 home games And 2 of those, one against Toronto, one against Florida, and then they end the season on the road against the Rangers. So it's going to be, I think this is going to go all the way down to the last game of the season. But if you're the Lightning right now, you have to love where you sit. I mean, you look at all the numbers, the only 2 teams in the NHL that continue to have a better goal differential than them this season is Winnipeg, who's at plus 83. Winnipeg's the number 1 team in the league. And then you have Washington at plus 70, number 2 team in the league, number 1 team in the East. And then the Lightning are at plus 69. So they are showing that they can score with the best of anybody. We know that. Vasilevsky has been playing. If it wasn't for what Hellebuck's been doing in Winnipeg, Vasilevsky would probably be your Vezina Trophy winner this season. So that gives you a lot of confidence as this team goes into the postseason. But it's definitely good to see that outside of a little bit of a worrying stretch there in the third period against the Islanders, they've played much better in front of Vasilevsky here the last few games. And right now they're firing on all cylinders. But I just wanted to get that out there about Nikita Kucherov because I just think it's just absolutely ridiculous that this guy is just not getting his due from those in the NHL. But such is the same. We all know how it works. Let's transition now to some of the comments. Have a lot of great comments in here, and we'll catch up here. Let's go up here. The Last Waltz Media today. Thank you for listening. Going today, section 119, still battling people talking about the games not selling out. Told a person to talk to ESPN. They reported all 3 games at attendance of 10,046. Yeah, I mean, listen, I don't even pay attention to anybody that's outside of this market that tries to talk about the dynamics of this whole stadium situation and what takes place in this market. People just, to me, unless you live here, unless you're living in it, and unless you follow it day-to-day basis like we all do, I just don't think they understand it. So I try not to pay too much attention about it. At the end of the day, whatever the attendance is, they're selling it out so far. I think it's going to continue to sell out. I think the atmospheres are going to continue to be great. So Last Waltz Media, glad you're getting a chance to go over there today. I hope you have a great time. Daniel Rivera, thank you for listening. He said, it's great to see and hear the crack of the bat with a fresh smell of grass. Just imagine with new Tampa-based owners playing in a new Ybor ballpark. That would be awesome to see. Well, that is certainly the dream. That is certainly the dream, and we've had that dream for a long, long time now, and hopefully one day that comes to fruition. But like you mentioned, it's those little things, right? And I would probably say myself, I haven't had a chance to appreciate these things yet because I've only been to 2 baseball stadiums in my entire life, and I hate saying that because there's so many that are on my bucket list to get to. And those 2 baseball stadiums happen to be the Trop and then the Miami Marlins Stadium, which is not in a great location. And the game that I went to, the roof was closed. So I have actually, outside of spring training games, I've never seen a Major League Baseball game played outside. And I hate saying that, but playing at Steinbrenner Field gives us a chance to see it. And like you said, sometimes a lot of people, the purists of the game, say, baseball is meant to be played outside. And I definitely understand, and it adds a new dynamic to the whole thing. So absolutely, that stuff should be fun. The Rays will build a new stadium in Tampa ready for 2042, says B. Well, hopefully it'd be a lot sooner than that. Let's see here. Elijah Barrera, the Rays are finally playing baseball outside the way baseball is supposed to be played. Was awesome to see. Absolutely. Rick says, Rays hitter asked Stu for the torpedo bats, but he offered them bats from IKEA. My goodness. You always have great comments, Rick. I love it. But again, like I said, I think the Rays offense, as I mentioned, Saturday, they were just completely unlucky. And Antonio Centinela having a stat line that we have not seen since 1886 is just absolutely insane and will not happen again. So overall, I think I was encouraged, and especially yesterday, the Rays putting out that lineup with Taylor Walls hitting 5th, with Meisner in the lineup, with Magnum making his MLB debut, DeLuca, Caballero, Rortvedt, a lot of the backup guys getting a chance to play, and they go out there and they're able to scrape across 6 runs. At the end of the day, I don't care if they're home runs. I don't care if they score on pass balls. I don't care if they're sac flies, infield hits. The Rays pretty much did all of that this weekend. I don't care. I just care how many runs they score. And yesterday they did enough to win the ball game. And I think if you hit like you did on Saturday, you're probably going to win most of those games too. So I still think it was a pretty encouraging start for that offense. Michael LaRue, George Steinbrenner Field is a lot nicer than the Trop. The drive saved me over an hour, even on a Saturday. Also, no one chanted sell the team on Saturday. Yeah, I did not hear that on Saturday. You were right. But we all heard it on Friday, and I think we were all curious to see if that was going to break out. I think it was the 6th or 7th inning, maybe, that you saw that being chanted. And I think it only got chanted when Stu sort of like showed his face. Because like I said, he was up in a box right above home plate. And then he came out for a little bit and he was out into the view of everybody. And I think when people saw him, that's when the chant started, from what I understand. But it was really only one chant or two chants. It didn't overtake anything. I think it was perfectly harmless. People are letting him know what they feel. But at the end of the day, we're here to support the team, the players, what I believe to be perhaps the best manager in Major League Baseball, the longest tenured manager in Major League Baseball, and Kevin Cash, with the job that he does, a great front office. There's so much to love about the Rays outside of who's running it, but still a lot of reasons to support this team. Justin Peck said it was awesome at Steinbrenner, went to 2 games already, and going tonight, doing my part to support them. Awesome. I love to hear that, Justin. I love to hear that. Love to see that you've already been out to 2 games and you're going to make it 3 tonight. I love it. We have a lot of people here who have already gone out to games. That just shows you that there's just so much excitement. I haven't seen this much excitement for people to actually get to the ballpark than what we've seen already, and it's only been 3 games. And keep in mind, there's only 10,000 tickets to go across. So that is going to be great to see. Daniel Rara adds, please go to the game tonight, Steinbrenner, and pack the place. I think they will. Donald VC said, I turned down the volume when Stu came on. I don't think you were the first one, my friend. I do not think you were the first one. Stu does that every single year. Like I said, Silverman did it on opening day, and then Stu did it yesterday. But I don't think you're the only one. I don't think a lot of people necessarily are too fond of Stu right now, clearly. Donald, I'm going to butcher this last. I don't even want to say it because I'm going to butcher it. I'm so sorry. But he said, why not change the bats? They lowered the pitching mound. Chiming in about the torpedo bats there. Christopher Cole said, I believe the Yankees picked up something on the pitcher on Saturday, and that's why they hit their home runs. Well, like I said, Nestor Cortez was with the Yankees for a few years, and obviously the Yankees clearly, he might have been tipping his pitches. They obviously knew what was coming, and combine that with the torpedo bat, whatever impact that had, and you saw what they had in the 20 runs, which is crazy. More Right Rudder says Nick is a ball knower. Of course, we all know that. Michael LaRue adds, Arizona's Ketel Marte have been using the torpedo bat since 2019. So there you go. This is hardly new. It's just something that's finally got out into the public. And like I said, I think it's because the Yankees used it that it's become this big hot button issue. All right. Thank you guys so much for chiming in with the comments. And again, if you have anything else to say, please, I encourage you to put it out here and we'll try to get to it. We're going to hit our second break here of the day. When we come back, I'm going to dive in more into the Final Four being set. We finally have our 4 teams, 1 seeds across the board. Is this good for college basketball? Is this bad for college basketball? I'm going to give you my opinion. I encourage you to give your opinion as well in the chat. But we'll be back here. Thank you again to all of our great sponsors, from Riveters to Italiano Insurance Services, the Golden Diamond Source, On-Site Construction and Restoration, Third Generation Services, Air Conditioning and Plumbing, and of course, Cafe Paradiso. Back in 3. Stay with us here on the Monday edition of the JP Peterson Show.
Hey, JP here for my concierge medical professional, Chris Lugo, PA. You've heard him on the show for a couple of years where he shares invaluable medical, nutritional, and supplement advice. With Chris, it's like having a medical provider as your best friend. What I love about this concierge service is the convenience and support he offers. I can text or call him 24/7 with any questions or concerns, and he'll promptly call in a prescription if needed. No office visits or copays required. It gives me peace of mind knowing I have someone genuinely invested in my health, not just focused on insurance profits. And the best part, the Bay Area Modern Medical Center's personal concierge service is more affordable than you might think. Don't let insurance companies dictate your health care. Take control of your health and wellness today. Visit BAMMC.com for more information and to schedule your initial free consultation. Empower yourself and take charge of your personal health with BAMMC.com. JP here for the Jeeves Law Group and my man Scott Jeeves, who lives right here and has long been a highly respected member of our community. He's a proud sponsor of the Tampa Riverwalk. Jeeves Law Group is also a proud sponsor of our Grand Central District in St. Pete. and has neighborhood events throughout the year. He has an office on Central Avenue in St. Pete and one on South Howard in Tampa. You can't get more local than that. So when you need an attorney, you're going to hire some huge firm that advertises all over the state or the one that supports your favorite sports show. It's the Jeeves Law Group. We're local, we're trusted, and we get results. For personal injury and personal attention, call us for a free case evaluation. That's 8889-JEEVES. That's 8889-JEEVES. Summer is coming. Do not get caught with your unit unprepared. Your AC unit, of course. The awesome folks at Third Generation Plumbing and AC have a special going on right now. You get a free 1-year maintenance package with any purchase of a new unit. They have special 60-month financing as well, so you don't need a huge chunk up front. Third Generation has an impeccable reputation built over 30 years of doing business. They do plumbing, AC, mechanical work, anything you need around the house. They are trusted folks. Go to the website and read the 5-star reviews. Deidre said, great company that always arrives timely. We have used them for our AC both in home and business and have been very happy. The staff is knowledgeable and professional. I would recommend Third Generation again and again. So give Third Generation a call at 813-961-8024 or go to thirdgenerationplumbing.com.
Let's go.
Right now, back to the show on FanStream Sports.
All right, welcome back here on a Monday. We are rocking and we are rolling. So much that happened this weekend. And so excited to jump on here today to talk about it with y'all and encourage you guys to continue the conversation in the comment section. Love that we've had so many today. So thank you guys so much for listening. I want to tell you guys a little bit about Third Generation Plumbing and Services. Summer is coming. Do not get caught up with your unit unprepared. Sorry there. The awesome folks at Third Generation Plumbing and AC have a special thing going on right now where you get a free 1-year maintenance package with any purchase of a new unit. They have special 60-month financing as well, so you don't need a huge chunk up front. They have an impeccable reputation built over 30 years of doing business. They do plumbing, AC, any mechanical work you need done around the house, and they are trusted folks to call. So please give Third Generation a call at 813-961-8024. Again, that's 813-961-8024, or go to thirdgenerationplumbing.com. So thank you so much to them for supporting the show and being an advertiser and all the other great advertisers that we have as well that allow us to continue to do this each and every day. All right, I want to transition now into the Final Four in college basketball because it is officially set after what we saw this weekend. And here we go. We got the 1 seeds. Straight chalk across the board. Florida, Auburn, Houston, and Duke. And immediately there's going to be a big discussion about, is this good for college basketball? Is this bad for college basketball? What does this say about the future with NIL and the transfer portal? And you see so many players that are in the portal already. It's so wonky already where the season is still going. March Madness is still in full effect. And we have players that are decommitting. We have players that are committing. We have players that are in the portal. It's so wild. And we understand already it's almost like you're fighting an uphill battle at this moment to ever see anything change. I don't think the NCAA is necessarily listening to anybody anymore. So it is what it is. But in the context of this tournament, yes, the Cinderella has always been a staple of March Madness, and it's why so many casual viewers turn in to see the upsets, to see the buzzer beaters, and to see all these the great, the shining moments, right, of the tournament. And I think people would say we haven't had that this year because you didn't really see the big upsets early on like we're accustomed to seeing. But if you paid attention to college basketball throughout the season, you probably would have noticed that the top teams this year around the country were really, really good. And I know that's a very obvious statement to make, but this year they were really, really good. You look at what Florida was able to do and run off and win the SEC tournament. You look at the SEC getting 14 teams, the most ever, into the tournament. The ACC was down this year, as we know, but the SEC pretty much ran things during the regular season. And now here we are. They get 2 of their teams in with Auburn and Florida. And Auburn being the team that's so experienced, they have one of the more experienced coaches in the country, and Bruce Pearl, who always finds a way to win games with whatever roster he has. But how about Florida, man? And we go back to that game on Saturday night against Texas Tech. And it was not looking good for the Gators there at one point. This game was going back and forth early, but Texas Tech took control of that game late. And listen to this. The Gators were down by 9 points with 3 minutes and 14 seconds to play. And I'm watching it, and I'm like, I really don't think Florida's going to be able to get back in this game. I thought 9 points, 9-point deficit with 3 minutes left against a really good Texas Tech team. I just did not see a way back for the Gators. But listen, when you have Walter Clayton Jr. on your roster as your best player, I suppose you're never really out of the game, because Florida ends the game on an 18-4 run. An 18-4 run. It was absolutely incredible. Walter Clayton scores 30 points. He scored 13 of the 30 points in the final 5 minutes and 24 games, or 5 minutes and 24 seconds, to send Florida to their first Final Four since 2014. And, I mean, just the three-pointers he was able to make, he's off balance. There's guys in his face. That dude he's fearless. He is absolute fearless, and he is such a joy to watch. And this Florida team is honestly a joy to watch. And even as somebody who went to UCF and got a lot of ties to Florida State, I love to see the Florida teams doing well generally. So, and I may have picked Florida to win the final, or to win the NCAA tournament as well. So, of course, I have a rooting interest from that standpoint too. But Florida, just great performance, being able to battle back. And you could say that Texas Tech blew that game. I'm sure that's part of it too. But just Walter Clayton Jr., that dude is he's just awesome to watch. So Florida in the Final Four, and they're going to face Auburn in Game 1 later this week. And then Game 2 is going to be Houston versus Duke. So 1 seeds across the board. And the whole 1 seed discussion, listen, I don't know how you could possibly complain about the games we have. We're getting Auburn versus Florida, and we're getting Houston versus Duke. Like, who doesn't want to see those games? Who doesn't want to see those games? And at some point, the Cinderella teams, the underdog, eventually always loses. It's very rare you see the underdog go all the way. It just doesn't happen as often. Usually the cream rises to the top, and you usually get the best teams at the end of this tournament. And right now, you get for the first time since 2008, only the second time it's happened, I believe, you get 4 number 1 seeds in the final, and it's going to produce 3 great basketball games, I believe, where it's going to be so evenly matched. I have no idea who to pick in these games. But these were probably the 4 best teams all year long, and they're left standing at the end of the year. I don't think that's bad for college basketball. I don't think at all. I go back to a couple years ago where you had one of the wackier Final Fours that we've seen in recent memory, when you had UConn in it, and obviously UConn was dominant that season. There's no doubt about that. But you had Miami in there, you had San Diego State, and you had FAU. Like, that was a pretty wacky Final Four that I don't think a lot of people or anybody probably even predicted would happen. And I'm not saying that that was a bad Final Four by any means, but I'm definitely saying that, go back in time, how we forget, there were definitely people that were talking about, I'm not interested in this. Where's the big teams at? And now all of a sudden the big teams are here, and you have a segment of people that are like, I don't want to see these teams. I wanted to see upsets and chaos and everything. And I understand that. But in terms of getting the best teams into the Final Four here and getting the best basketball games and getting a true deserving champion who have earned it, because you have to earn everything in this tournament with how many games you have to win in a row, and there's no margin of error, I don't think you could have gotten a better outcome. I understand that this is probably going to be what happens going forward because of NIL and because of transfer portal. It sort of is what it is, but I think this is great for college basketball, and the ratings have been through the roof. It's been a massive success for the sport, which sometimes struggles to find its way throughout the regular season because it starts in the middle of so much going on, obviously NFL and college football, and it doesn't really heat up and get to fans' interest until we get to sort of conference tournaments and things like that. But I think right now, a lot of people are zoned in on it. And of course, in this state, in this city, where there's such a big population of Florida fans and Florida graduates, there's a lot to root for. So I'm going to enjoy this. I'm going to absolutely enjoy this as a casual viewer of this sport. And I think it's been a great tournament from a quality standpoint. And you look at the teams here, Florida, the experience they have and the brilliance of Walter Clayton Jr., I think that's clearly been on full display. You look at what Houston is able to bring to the table, and Houston is sort of a throwback team to where they play really good defense. They're suffocating. You saw what they did to Tennessee yesterday. Tennessee just could not shoot the ball at all yesterday, and Houston was all over them. And they have a great coach in Kelvin Sampson, who has established a culture, I'm going to use the word there, the culture, where guys don't really leave the Houston program, and they get a lot of guys who stay for a while, and they always have this experienced team, and that's why they're really good year in and year out. So I think Houston's a really good team to root for here if you have no rooting interest. Auburn has more experience than any team in the nation. And then you have Duke, who is sort of like a hybrid combo of experience with some of these great freshmen. And of course, you can't start without mentioning Cooper Flagg, who, I'm just going to be completely honest, Cooper Flagg, not to put too much expectations on him that nobody else hasn't put on him already, Cooper Flagg's going to have a chance, I think, when he gets to the NBA to be the best player to come out of Duke. I really believe that. And I know when you say that out loud, you probably go, no way. Look, think of all the great players Duke has had in the NBA, and they've had a lot. But the greatest players in Duke history in the NBA are probably, Grant Hill and Kyrie Irving and Jason Tatum and guys like that. And they've all had incredible years, and Kyrie and Tatum are still going. Grant Hill's a Hall of Famer. But I think that's the type of player we're talking about here with Cooper Flagg. The guy is so smooth the way he plays this game. He's so all around. He's a great playmaker. He can get a bucket when he needs to. Great leader for that team. He had the injury. He come back. It doesn't even impact him whatsoever. And combine him with Con Knipple, and the big man down low who's also a true freshman, and then the experience they have with Tyrese Proctor, John Shire doing a great job as the head coach. Duke almost plays like a pro team sometimes. That's the way they look. So my gut tells me that Duke is probably going to be the team to beat, because I feel like of the games I've watched, every time I watch Duke, they just seem like they're really in a zone, and they seem like they play really well together. And like I said, I think they just have that right balance of these sort of freshman phenoms to go with the experience. So I think Duke right now is my favorite, but I would love to see Florida and Duke in that final. And I think a lot of people, when they were filling out their brackets, that was probably maybe the most popular pick, and I think for good reason. So yeah, I would say Duke and Florida right now is what I put when I made my bracket, and I see no reason to change that. But like I said, I think this has been a pretty well-played tournament here. Back to some of the comments right here. More Right Rudder said, put money on Duke yesterday to win it all. Love the size. Absolutely can't go wrong picking Duke, like I mentioned there. Christopher Cole adding, Duke's defense is unbelievably good. They're so well coached. They are so well. And John Shire, they always say you never want to follow the guy who was the guy, and he had to follow Mike Krzyzewski. But man, John Shire, really not much of a difference there whatsoever. And you could say that it's Duke and anybody can do a great job, and maybe that's true, but John Shire's done an absolute great job. They're so well coached, assistants getting jobs all over the place. And then, like I mentioned, you got to have great players to win games, and they have a lot of them. Michael LaRue says NHL media won't vote for Cooch because he's not Canadian. See, I didn't want to mention that part because a lot of people do, but it probably is true. For whatever reason, the biases with the Canadian players, it certainly plays a role. But like I said, there's also a big groundswell to give the MVP to Draisaitl, and he's been the favorite all year, and he's German. So I don't know. I'm just presenting my case for Nikita Kucherov like I did earlier, and I think the numbers tell me that he should be a Hart finalist. T-Knowles with some Buccaneer talk right here. By the way, the NFL annual meetings are ongoing as we speak at the Breakers. We were getting updates about all this at like 7:30 in the morning. Already meeting with the media. It's so weird. It's like they're sitting at like this round table, and all this media is around everybody, and it seems really tight and everything, but there should be some good stuff coming out there. I'm not sure yet when the Bucs are speaking, but he asked a Bucs question with the draft coming up next month. Hey, Nick, what are the odds they pick a defensive tackle in the first 2 rounds? Or if the board shows a corner and maybe a safety or inside linebacker? I think defensive tackle is a need, but I don't think it's near the top of the needs right now, if that makes sense for the Bucs. Vita Vea is still going strong as he enters his age 30 season. Kalijah Cansey, you'd like to be able to keep him healthy, but certainly in the first 2 years, he's shown that he's an impact player. And then Logan Hall is coming off his best season where he had 5.5 sacks, and he finally showed something to this team that made him a early second round pick. And he's also going into a contract year, Logan Hall is. So he's got a lot of incentive to play well this year. They brought back Greg Gaines. So they're already 4 deep at defensive tackle. I don't hate the idea of sometime later in the draft sort of adding to that room. I know they met with a few defensive tackles that they like. Tonka Hemingway from South Carolina being one of those dudes off the top of my head, but he's definitely going to be a later round pick. So I would probably address that later. I think they have bigger needs. For where we sit right now at 19, it feels like if Jihad Campbell, the linebacker from Alabama, is there, he feels like he's going to be the pick, because you just have to follow that the Bucs didn't really do much to the position in free agency. I know they added Anthony Walker, and he basically was a trade with KJ Britt going to Miami and him coming from Miami to here. But Anthony Walker next to Levante, that can't be your solution. And I don't think you can rely on Servassier Dennis, unfortunately, even though he's shown flashes. Guy just cannot stay healthy. I don't think that's something you could put all your eggs in a basket there for Servassier. And then Levante, as much as I've been hating to say this, I think last year we all saw sort of some decline in his game. And I don't know if he's going to find it again now at age 36. I kind of wanted them to find a solution this offseason where they didn't have to run Levante into the ground. But as currently constructed, he's still far and away the best linebacker on the football team. So now linebacker to me is still need number one. The middle of the field was wide open for the taking all year long last year. And it was so frustrating to watch as a viewer. And I think everybody would agree with that. So if Jihad Campbell's there at 19, I think they probably are going to pull that pick. I don't see another linebacker that you would take in the first round. I only think there's a few linebackers who I honestly think have a chance to be impact players in this league, and they're not guys you're going to take that high. So I would probably say Campbell would be the pick at 19. If he's gone, I mean, you're looking at the Donovan Ezerakus of the world, who's been mocked to the Bucs a lot, the pass rusher from Boston College. Corner, certainly they could take a shot on like a Siobhan Ravel from East Carolina, although he might be a second round pick type guy. But I would say though, Jihad Campbell right now is probably the guy that you're zeroing in on. But great question, because as tomorrow is going to be April 1st, so we're going to be 24 days out until the draft. And I personally can't wait for the draft to come, and I can't wait for it to go, because it's just one of those things where college football season ends in late November, and then you have like 5 or 6 months of just constant draft talk. And there's this mock draft, and there's that mock draft, and this insider spoke with this source anonymously, and he said this about this player, and this guy's stock is rising, and this guy's goes down. This guy ran a 4.3 40-yard dash, even though his tape doesn't show that he plays that way, but now he's shooting up draft boards. Like, to me, the whole conversation around some of these prospects gets so outlandish, and I think it's because there's so much time that people have to sort of go through everything and nitpick and ridicule and this and that, and it drives me nuts. So I'm ready for the draft to get here, and at the same time, I'm ready for it to end. I just want to see who the Bucs have as their 6 or 7 selections this year, and we move on. But great question nonetheless, because obviously we're going to be getting there soon. Nathan Elliott responded saying, I want a DT to be drafted. I would like Kenneth Grant early pick, or Deion Walker with a late pick. And Kenneth Grant is the Michigan guy. He played next to Mason Graham, obviously, best defensive tackle duo in the country. Deion Walker, as you mentioned, from Kentucky, at times was a big-time game wrecker. If you go back and watch that Georgia game this past year, he was great, but probably going to be a mid-round pick. Nathan added, Campbell is Devin White 2.0, but he will also be coming off surgery. Bad juju. Keep away from him. Yeah, I have seen a lot of people have their reservations about this, because the last time Jason pulled a first-round pick on a linebacker, it happened to be Devin White. And Devin White did get signed to the Raiders this past weekend, by the way, so he's going to try to remain in the league. But I don't know. The Devin White pick, not to rehash that whole thing, I thought at the time it was the right pick. I know a lot of people thought, Josh Hines Allen, now he is, was the pick, and they went with Devin White. I thought Devin was the right pick. I thought the process was correct, and he played a big part of a Super Bowl winning team. So when you look at Devin White's overall impact in Tampa Bay, and was it a good pick? Was it a bad pick? It's very hard to sort of evaluate. It really is. But the way it ended certainly wasn't great. And now you see Devin sort of fighting to stay in this league. But I don't think we can, we can't really play that game, I don't think, of, well, we drafted this guy one time at the same position. It didn't work out, so now we have to do something different. I don't think you can really go into the draft thinking that way. I don't think Jason Licht is. At the end of the day, he's going to pick the best player available. I think he did that with Kalijah Cansey and surprised us all when they had the 19th pick 2 years ago, and I think that one turned out well. He went best player available last year, and in his mind, that was Graham Barton, and we saw as the year went on, he got better and better and better. You go back to 2018, me included, was banging the drum for the Bucs to draft Derwin James, and they didn't do it. They drafted Vita Vea. Well, Derwin James is a good player, don't get me wrong, but Vita Vea has been very, very important to this Bucs team for the last 7 or 8 years. So he was spot on with that. And even his first draft, where a lot of people were pressuring him to, oh, you should take Johnny Manziel, you should do this. And he goes and takes Mike Evans, a safe pick. And Mike Evans is the greatest offensive player the Bucs have had. So I don't think Jason Licht is going to, I think Jason Licht is going to do the right thing. Ultimately, I think he's earned the trust from the Bucs franchise to make the right pick there. But nonetheless, we shall see. Tino said, watch Devin ball out. He's more AB than Brooks, so he'll lose it at some point. LOL. It's a shame. I thought Devin was our future at inside linebacker as well. Yeah, listen, I was all in on Devin White, full disclosure. After his rookie year, when the Bucs went back to their normal uniforms and they got away from the alarm clocks, I'm the guy who went out there and I paid a lot of money for a Devin White jersey. That's how sold I was on Devin White. And now that jersey is, well, I don't really know where it is, to be honest with you. It's somewhere. I don't think I want to see it ever again, to be honest with you. But yes, I agree with you. I thought Devin was the can't miss guy. But you get some right, you don't get some right. But anyway, thank you guys so much for contributing to the conversation there. I'm going to take another break. But just lost my had my ads here pulled up, but let me get those back. We'll take another break here, and we're again going to talk about Riveters a little bit here, who's the newest sponsor of the JP Peterson Show. We've been talking about him a lot today. We've been talking about him a lot last week as well, but a great place to watch the games. And, of course, happy hour as well, located just south of Ray J and Steinbrenner Field, a great pre- and post-game spot for happy hour, brought to you by Budweiser. Look at that. I'm wearing the Bud King of Beers hat right there. There it is. The Dale Earnhardt Jr. throwback. Love it. Love it. But brought to you by Budweiser, Monday through Friday, 3 to 7 p.m. And check out these special folks. $3 Bud Light drafts, $4 domestic bottles, $5 value wells, $6 premium wells, $6 cocktail margaritas, and $20 pitchers of margaritas or sangrias. The Riveters food is made fresh daily, no freezers. Happy hour food specials include $3.50 tacos and barbecue sliders, $6 edamame with chips with beer cheese, $8 buffalo chicken dip, truffle fries, chili cheese fries, $10 mussels, poutine fries, $12 Hellcat wings, and wild cat shrimp. And of course, Taco Tuesday, $3 tacos on Tuesdays, Wing Wednesday, 7 p.m. to 1 a.m. Their amazing wings are $5 for $5, of course, with $5 well and wine. So if you're tired of all the overpriced generic sports bar, come see the amazing bartenders and staff at Riveters, where customer service really matters, just south of where the Rays and Bucs play. So please get out there, and thank you so much for those who joined the fun out there before the Rays, and I hope to see many of you, or I hope many of you go out there tonight as well. All right, we'll take another break here, and when we come back, I'm going to sort of sum up some things here about some other things I wanted to get into, some sports media news that came out last week and that was confirmed this morning, and another hot button topic that I want to add as well. So thank you guys for joining in on the fun today. We will be back in 3. Stay with us.
Ciao, Paolo Tini here, owner of Caffè Paradiso, voted number 3 People's Choice Award on Open Table. I want to thank all our loyal family of customers that have been enjoying our great traditional Italian dishes we make from scratch every day. It's a great family story we're proud of. Our family moved from Rimini, Italy in 1984. My dad, Caesar, started Donatello, and that's where I got the start in the restaurant business. I started Caffè Paradiso on South McDill in 1995, and we've been there ever since. From our traditional ossobuco, a veal slow roast for 4 hours, to our daily fresh catch, the Gruppo Paradiso, with a piccata sauce and lobster claw meat, homemade pasta like lasagna, farfalle salchicha, which is a bow tie pasta homemade with fresh sausage. Hold on a minute, JP's favorite.
I love it.
So come and have a glass of wine with me on South McDill. Get a reservation on Open Table and see all our 5-star reviews. Ciao, see you soon at Paradiso.
JP here for Riveters, the official sports bar and grill of the JP Peterson Show. We're located just south of Ray J and Steinbrenner Field, so it's a great pre- and post-game spot, and the happy hour is amazing. Monday through Friday, 3 to 7. Check out these specials. $3 Bud Light drafts, $4 domestic bottles, $5 wells, $6 premium wells, $6 cocktails like margaritas. It's unheard of. And the Riveters food is freshly made daily. No freezers. Happy hour food specials include $3.50 tacos and barbecue sliders. $6 you get edamame or chips with the beer cheese, which is amazing. $8 buffalo chicken dip, my favorite. The truffle fries, chili cheese fries, also $8 at happy hour. As well as other specials throughout the week, including Taco Tuesdays, you get $3 tacos, and Wing Wednesdays, 7 o'clock to 1 a.m. in the morning, you get our amazing wings, 5 for $5 and $5 wells and wines. That's a good Wednesday night. So if you're tired of the preppy, overpriced, generic sports bars, come see the amazing, friendly bartenders and staff at Riveters, where customer service really matters. Riveters, just south of where the Rays and Bucs play. We'll see you there. Summer is coming. Do not get caught with your unit unprepared. Your AC unit, of course. The awesome folks at Third Generation Plumbing and AC have a special going on right now. You get a free 1-year maintenance package with any purchase of a new unit. They have special 60-month financing as well, so you don't need a huge chunk up front. Third Generation has an impeccable reputation built over 30 years of doing business. They do plumbing, AC, mechanical work, anything you need around the house. They are trusted folks. Go to the website and read the 5-star reviews. Deidre said, great company that always arrives timely. We have used them for our AC both at home and business and have been very happy. The staff is knowledgeable and professional. I would recommend Third Generation again and again. So give Third Generation a call at 813-961-8024 or go to thirdgenerationplumbing.com.
Let's go! Right now. Back to the show on FanStream Sports.
All right, welcome back here to the JP Peterson Show. Nick Geddes running solo again as JP is in Colorado and Breckenridge. But again, if you missed it, he joined us for the first segment of today's show to talk about the Rays on the field and, of course, the latest Stu comments and stuff. And he's going to be joining the show throughout the week as well, doing his best. So thank you guys so much. I want to remind you guys, Diamond Days are back at the Golden Diamond Source, Tampa Bay's largest jewelry store. Right now at Golden Diamond, you can get up to 20% off all of their diamond inventory, including April's birthstone. Plus, you can take advantage of 0% financing for up to 5 years. That means if you finance $5,000, your monthly payment would be only $83. Best of all, your Golden Diamond Source diamond never loses its value. And listen up to all the newlyweds out there. Here's your chance to win a $2,500 shopping spree at Golden Diamond Source, along with a wedding cake for up to 100 guests created by the renowned celebrity chef, the Cake Girl, as seen on the Today Show. Entering is easy. Simply visit Golden Diamond Source on Olmerton Road for your chance to win big. If you want your special someone to say yes, make sure it's a Golden Diamond Source diamond. Visit them at 3800 Olmerton Road in Clearwater, a longtime supporter of the JP Peterson Show. So be sure to check them out. They helped me and JP get our rings. So thank you. You guys do the same. So please support them because they do a great job of supporting this show as well. All right, I wanted to finish up here with a big note here from the NFL annual meeting, and this is one of the big topics that's being discussed this weekend. And I gotta admit, it's driving me nuts, and that's the tush push. The tush push. This play, whether you're all for it or you're all against it, right? And you have a lot of coaches. I've seen him speaking this morning. Sean McDermott has been, the Bills head coach, has been at the forefront of this, trying to get the tush-push ban. And he cites the added force of the play, the posture of the players, and he seems to think that it's a big health risk for the players. Now, it should be noted, the NFL has not had any tangible evidence that shows that there's any injury risk or any injury evidence of this play. It has not been out there. And yet this injury stuff is being put out there sort of as the reason for why they should ban this. And I truly believe that the only reason why these coaches are saying it is it reeks of jealousy. It reeks of jealousy. That's all this is. The Eagles found something that anybody can do, by the way. Nobody's stopping from allowing the other 31 teams to do this. The Eagles have found a way to do it and do it better than anybody. They win a Super Bowl with the tush-push being a big part of what they do. And now you have all these coaches and all these teams who are throwing a fit and they want it to be outlawed from the game and blah, 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 blah. It's ridiculous. The Eagles found a way. They found a play that works for them that everybody else has the ability to do, and they're just better at it than you. They're just better at it than you. I understand the Bucs have played the Eagles a lot over the last few years, a lot in the playoffs and such. And yes, it's infuriating sometimes when it's 4th down and 1 and you think you've made the stop and here comes the tush push and they get it. I understand. But what are you going to do about it? You have to find a way to stop it. You just have to. And the Bucs have before. Not saying they're going to do it every single time, but I just feel like this whole discussion and the injury thing being pushed as the reason and the health and safety of the players when it's the most, I mean, what about all the other plays where it's absolutely brutal for the players, but we're going to focus on the tush push? No, it's ridiculous. Like I said, it's absolutely ridiculous. And I think it reeks from jealousy. So I know there's a lot of people that think differently and that's fine. We can agree to disagree on that. But this stems down to the fact that the Eagles are good at it. That's it. That's it. That's all I wanted to say. I'm just not falling for this injury sort of argument for the reason why these teams want the tush-push outlawed. Not one. And I know that the Packers are the ones who proposed it, and ESPN reported this morning that it has support from the NFL's competition committee. So we'll see what happens. Everybody's speaking on it right now. Of course, all the coaches around the league that have a good relationship with Nick Sirianni, like Kevin Stefanski, for example, are not in favor of outlawing it. So we'll see. You need a lot of teams to check off on it, or a lot of owners to check off on it for it to pass. So we'll see what happens. And then the other big sports media news came out last week. Front Office Sports first reported it, and then it was confirmed today by the man himself, Peter Schrager, who has been a part of Good Morning Football on the NFL Network since the show's inception in 2016, an original member of the show. He is leaving Good Morning Football. He is leaving his duties at Fox, and at Fox Sports, that is, and he is going to be joining ESPN. And Peter Schrager confirmed that today. He was on Good Morning Football. I was watching it this morning. It was Peter Schrager's last ever show on Good Morning Football. And of course, as somebody who has been watching that show for years and years, I've always felt that show added a different dynamic to morning sports talk on national television than some of the other shows have, right? And it's sort of sad that it's come down to this. I mean, last year, the show already had a different vibe to it over the last year when they moved Schrager and Kyle Brandt over to the Los Angeles studios because they were all centered in New York, if you recall. And then they moved them to Los Angeles. Jason McCourty joined ESPN. Manti Te'o came in to take his spot and some other contributors as well. Jamie Erdahl was still there. She's still there, obviously. But Peter Schrager is leaving. He had a heartfelt goodbye today on Good Morning Football. And it's sad, again, for someone who loves that show, that it's going to look a lot different here in the near future without Peter Schrager on there. And I wonder what happens now because Nate Burleson was also a member of that show before, and obviously he left, joined CBS Sports. Jason McCourty has already joined ESPN, and now Schrager's leaving. That kind of leaves Kyle Brandt as the only inaugural member of that show that's left. So I'm curious to see what happens to him. Is ESPN in his future? I know ESPN is stacking up right now on its talent lineup for NFL, because they're going to be hosting their first Super Bowl in 2027, then again in 2031. So they've sort of been on a hiring spree lately. So we'll see what happens to that. But Peter Schrager, one of the best in the business at what he does from as an insider, as an analyst, entertaining on TV, funny, all those things. So I'm sure ESPN will get him in soon, especially with the draft coming around. He's always been a main staple of NFL Network's draft coverage. So he'll probably be a staple of ESPN's draft coverage this year. But good for him, obviously, getting probably a really good deal to join ESPN. So, like I said, big sports media news in the world today. But with that, we'll wrap up a little early today. But again, if you missed the beginning part of the show, we wrapped up the Rays' big series win over the Rockies to begin the season. The atmosphere at Steinbrenner Field, Stu Sternberg's comments, the Lightning streaking right now, Nikita Kucherov's MVP case, the Gators in the Final Four, so much that we were able to get into as well. And thank you guys so much for contributing in the comments. Got to as many as you as I could as possible today. So we love that. Thank you for supporting the show. And Tim Ham will be back tomorrow, and JP will join him as well live from Breckenridge, Colorado. So thank you guys so much for joining again. Have a great day.